At this time, I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker. Sam grew up in Florida, where he remembered wanting to join the United States Marines at age 5. At 17 years old, he graduated from high school and enlisted into the Marine Corps. He spent the next 6 years as a recon Marine, deploying at times and traveling much of the world. After fulfilling his enlisted contract, he came to Cleveland and decided he wanted to continue his military service and joined the Army as a reservist. He became a Cleveland firefighter and a paramedic. While juggling his military reserve duel and his role as a Cleveland firefighter, he was blessed with 3 children. He was deployed to Iraq in 2004 and 2005 as a combat engineer, combing the roadsides for improved explosive devices, or IEDs, in the Baghdad area. His platoon removed more than 300 IEDs from the pathway of other coalition forces and was engaged by insurgents more than 60 times. He was once again called for service in 2009 and 2010, this time in Afghanistan, where he was a senior non-commissioned officer and an operational mentor liaison team to the Afghanistan Army. The team consisted of 23 other U.S. military forces, which were embedded with the Afghanistan Infantry Battalion fighting in northern Afghanistan. They lived and fought beside the Afghan National Army in Baghlan Province. He retired in 2012 after completing 21 years of combined military service in the reserves and active duty. He now resides in Medina and runs a successful real estate business on the square. He is very active in the community and founded the Heroes of Hope Project, which is a nonprofit organization combating homelessness among U.S. military veterans. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Sam Livingston.
Appreciate it. Hello, Medina. Before I started, I just want to say what a beautiful day. It's been a long time since we've been able to gather like this on such a beautiful day. It seems like the rain doesn't always cooperate, but I didn't know I was going to get to ride in the parade, and it was just amazing to see everyone out there and everyone out here today. So I appreciate it, but I'll get started here. I wanted to start out by saying how deeply humbled I am to be here today, and hope you bear with me. As I see all these veterans and I understand the weight of the day, it's important that I thank the right people to start with, and that's Mayor Hanwell and Ed Zachary. They asked me early in the year if I would be willing to come out here and speak to you guys about what Memorial Day means to me. And Ed started off with some parameters, and I think they said something about don't be controversial or political, and that's because Ed might know me a little bit, I don't know, so I'll be cautious and stay on this side of that line. But sometimes we do struggle with what we want to say, but my intent is to convey how meaningful this day is to me personally. He asked me, Ed did, if I would say something personal, because a lot of times we come to these ceremonies and the people who haven't served or haven't lost a loved one or a service member, they're here for the right reasons, but sometimes they don't get to hear the personal stories. So this is my personal feeling about the day. I do think it's important to have the celebrations, enjoy the cookouts, and get together with our family and friends, but we can't forget why it exists. This is our obligation to tell the story of those who didn't come back. It's our duty to share the stories of the lives who we lost in the defense of our country. For countless families across the nation, Memorial Day is a stark and painful reminder of those who were never afforded the opportunity to be honored as veterans. I do recall coming home from both the Iraq deployment and the Afghanistan deployment, and it was much different than in times past. Coming through airports, people wanted to buy you drinks, people wanted to shake your hand, pat you on the back, and it's an important part of America. But what I thought of, some guys never, and men and women, didn't feel that. They didn't get that appreciation. So that's why we're here today. Their lives were cut short by sacrifice, and it was a true expression of selfless service, one that no one would pick for themselves. Whether they volunteered at a time of war or served during peacetime or never expected to wear our nation's uniform until their draft card arrived, they represent the best that America has to offer. We feel their loss roaming the sacred grounds in cemeteries and in other final resting places around the world. Too many mothers, fathers, siblings, children feel the immense weight of seeing an empty chair year-round. For them, Memorial Day brings to the forefront what is always in their background. We just spent our 20th consecutive year at war, longer than any American conflict that came before. 2.7 million Americans have served in Iraq and Afghanistan, and over half of them deployed more than once. Those who returned are now our community members, our neighbors, and our friends. There are unbelievably brave accounts of heroes who can no longer speak for themselves. It's our duty to not only tell their stories, but to honor their service and memory by ensuring their families and survivors are well cared for. I have attended dozens of Memorial Day services, and we often hear stories about the loss that we feel when speaking of a loved one lost in service. Today, I want to offer a slightly different perspective. It isn't our loss that we're here to console. It isn't our loss that Memorial Day represents. Today, we're here for honor and appreciation and respect. We're here to say thank you to those who have sacrificed all for our country. I want you to imagine yourself my oldest son's going to be 20 years old next week. So I want you to imagine yourself as 19 years old. That's the same age, roughly, as my oldest son, which is still mind-boggling to me, as I'm sure it is for most of you parents out there that have children of any age. How did they get here so quickly? Now, I also recall being 19 years old and in the Marine Corps. I was invincible. I was strong, and I was ready to fight for my country. And in my mind, I was ready to die should that need come. But during my 6 years of active duty in the Marines, that call thankfully never came. When it did come, I was 32 years old and a reservist. For those of you who haven't served, 32 years old is a billy goat. I went over with a bunch of 19 and 20-year-olds. We actually had someone turn 18 right before we left. They were young and strong and invincible, just as I recalled being. Our mission was to physically search for IEDs, 6 days a week, 12 to 15 hours a day. For the full year, we patrolled the streets of Baghdad. Of 31 men, 17 were wounded, and we had countless hours of sheer boredom interrupted by moments of explosion and gunfire. And for those of you guys who have deployed, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The months drone by slowly. Time is your enemy and it's your friend. It drags by ever so slowly until then one day you're close enough to going home that you start to count the days. At the beginning of a deployment, time doesn't matter. You don't want to think about it. You don't want to look. You don't want to know what you're missing, and you're trying to occupy your mind so you don't miss home so much. By the end, it's all you can do. You start to get excited and you start to imagine going home. For me, I was going home to a small and very young family and back to normal. For Jeremy Hodge, he was counting down the days and ready to go home to start his adult life. He was a great athlete and played college baseball. He was a mechanic and had dreams of working in NASCAR one day. He had a girlfriend that he was ready to see and young sisters that he was very close to. He had a full life awaiting his return. Excuse me. For the last 4 months of Jeremy's life, he was my driver. I spent countless hours riding shotgun and speaking about everything you can imagine. We told jokes, we yelled at each other, we cussed at each other, we learned about one another, and you learned deep things about people you would have no normal common grounds with. I was old enough to be Jeremy's father nearly, but we were brothers, and you become brothers. You have an understanding of one another that's unfathomable for those who have never been where you are. Jeremy was my brother, and while it's painful to have lost him, I honor him in his selfless service to our country. Jeremy was killed on October 10th, 2005 by a roadside explosion. In the blink of an eye, we went from counting down the days of return and sharing those plans with one another to being loaded into a Black Hawk medevac helicopter. Jeremy wasn't supposed to die that day, not in his mind. He was coming home. He was making those preparations in his head. Like many of the men and women across our nation, he was serving and then coming home. These are the men and women buried in our cemeteries. They are the headstones that our Boy Scouts place flags upon. We owe it to them to honor their service and, more importantly, their sacrifice. They went in hopes that others would not have to. So today, I ask you to celebrate their lives while you celebrate the day. Memorial Day is about those Americans, not us. I will rejoice in the fact that I knew Jeremy. There are hundreds of thousands of these stories. To me, so it's fitting and right that we honor them all, recognizing that our liberties as Americans come at a price. I will honor their service and his sacrifice. Of all those who have sacrificed, think of their gift to us. They gave us the gift of the do-over. And today, I want you to think about a do-over. Whatever we do in America, we have the opportunity to fix it. In our lives, every day we're capable of being better, of doing things over until we get them right. They gave us that opportunity. When they left home for the last time, that was it for them. However they left their lives is how things remained in perpetuity. I want each of you to think about that and think about how much we owe each and every one of them to take a do-over. At this time, I would appreciate it if you would join me in recognizing those family members who have lost a loved one in service with a moment of silence. Again, thank you for inviting me to be a part of this ceremony. God bless those deployed today, those who will deploy tomorrow, and those who are in harm's way, providing us the opportunity to enjoy this beautiful day in our great nation. God bless her through these challenging times, and God bless each of you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Sam. Our color guard will now fire a 21-gun salute to our fallen, immediately followed by taps played by lead Richard Pinkoval, sorry if I pronounced that name wrong, and echo by Nicholas Carano. Please cover your ears and be aware of young children around you as the volley fires are allowed. Color guard, take charge, please. If Pastor Jamie Barrett will please come up and do the benediction.
I just want to thank Sam for that wonderful address. That was quite amazing. Thank you for sharing that. We'll receive this benediction as we leave this place now. The Lord bless you. The Lord keep you. The Lord cause his face to shine upon you. Go in his peace.
I want to thank everyone for coming out today, especially the Medina High School and Middle School bands, the American Legion, the VFW, the Disabled American Veterans, the Medina County Women of the Military, the Blue Star Mothers. I'm sure I'm going to forget somebody, so I do apologize. I want to thank the Coloring Guard. I want to thank all the police and rescue people that came out and helped block the roads and participate in the parade. It is important that we do this. It is important that we take time to remember them, to reflect on their lives and to respect their service. I want to announce that at 1:15 p.m. today, the Vietnam Veterans of America 385 will conduct a short ceremony at the Medina County Vietnam Veterans Memorial dedicated to the 3 men that lost their lives in Vietnam. It's at 210 Northland Drive in Medina. And again, I want to say thank you to everybody. This concludes our ceremony for today. Thank you.